What's the most terrifying thing that you've seen in the woods? When I was young, like maybe 9 to 10, my cousin and I were walking down behind my grandparents' house, and at the edge of the woods was their pig pen. The back fence bordered the woods and was heavily overgrown with bushes. There was a small path we had worn out and a very small clearing where we had put some chairs. It was kind of a natural clubhouse. Once you were in that tiny clearing, you couldn't see in or out of it. We were walking down the little path, and just before we got to the clearing I could see someone, an adult, sitting in one of the chairs. Kind of leaned over with his hands on his head. I turned around and ran over my cousin, getting out of there. She ran behind me asking what's wrong. I didn't stop running till I got back to my grandparents' house. I told my granddad and we all went back down there, but when we got back he was gone. The thing is that even at the age I was, we had to duck down to get to the clearing. A full-grown adult would have had to crawl hands and knees to get in or out of the clearing. I have no idea how anyone even noticed the entrance to the path, it was so discreet. I also have no idea how he was able to get out of there before we got back. I'm 46 and I can still see the image of him sitting there like it was yesterday. I was solo camping and was on a hike to my favorite spot. I saw what looked like a man holding a massive rock in one hand and a knife in the other, facing me. This was pretty weird, but other bushcrafters have been known to camp there too, so I gave the standard "hey man" shout and wave. I got a bit closer, and it looked like it was just a rock. I laughed it off and turned around, staring to walk away. A rock whizzed by my right ear, fast enough and big enough to really hurt me if it had hit me. I turned around to where the rock had come from, and the figure I'd seen wasn't there anymore. It's not what I saw, it's what I didn't see. Years ago I decided to go hunting. Thing is, I don't really like hunting, but I do enjoy target shooting and really just wanted an excuse to walk around in the woods. I didn't expect to see anything, and I'd never gone alone before. I was fairly familiar with the area, though I hadn't been there much, and I kept getting this weird feeling I was being watched. I kept going up this trail and a little bit out of it, and the feeling I was being watched was getting weirder as it felt stronger. Nobody was in the area, probably wasn't anyone for at least a mile, but I couldn't shake the feeling. Then I felt really odd, like I was in a vacuum or something. I don't know how to explain it. I realized there were no sounds. I didn't feel any breeze anymore, nothing. No birds chirping, no random swaying sounds of leaves or branches, no squirrels chattering, nothing. Extremely odd for this area. I suddenly had this impending sense of doom, and I literally ran the hell out of the woods for a full mile or so, got into my car and left. I still don't know what happened. It may have been me just freaking out to a very bizarre quietness and stillness, but I don't think it was. Something odd was happening there, and while I wasn't in the area, there is a giant forest area in my state where tons of people over the past 200 years have disappeared without a trace, and people report feeling weird and seeing or noticing strange things. I wasn't even thinking about that at the time or after, but something weird was happening and I wanted to GTFO fast. I came across a mountain lion when I was about 13. It was maybe 50 yards up the trail. It was walking across the trail. It paused and looked at us for what seemed like minutes, then it went on its way. We spent the rest of the hike paranoid that it was circling back to get us. It's all fun and games until you realize you're not always at the top of the food chain. When I was younger we would go camping at a place called Bear Creek in TN. The campsite we got was always the best, as my grandfather was best friends with the owner of the place where you could camp. The place backed up into nothing but miles of woods, with your nearest neighbor like 2 to 3 miles away. Anyways, at our campground we had a big ass creek with a bridge overhead. Well, on the third day we were there, I remember everyone being around the fire and me wandering off to the bridge. There on the other side were a group of black-robed people staring back at me. They just stared, no faces being shown. One had a knife of some kind, while another motioned for me to come over with them. When they started over the bridge towards me, I ran back and my family grabbed their guns and started to point at them. They calmly went back over the bridge and never saw them again. I told this before, but it works here. My friend and I were walking home from school one day. We took a different path from usual, and we stumbled upon someone's house. It was one of those isolated homes, surrounded by forest on all sides. I noticed something white on the edge of the lawn as we passed. I took a look at it, and it looked like half of a human pelvis. I asked my friend, who hunted, what he thought, and he said it didn't look like a deer or coyote. As we were studying it, the homeowner storms out of his house, and starts to chase us. And I mean really chase us. For a good half-mile or so, until we lost him. It was more than just trying to chase us away, I think he was trying to get us. We never told anyone at the time. I tell the story now, and people think I'm bullshitting. I just hope my friend was wrong, and the guy was just a fucking loon with animal bones on his lawn. When I was about 13 to 14, me and some friends went camping somewhere in the center of England for 2 days, and we were basically fucking miles from any footpath or road. First night was fine, and we had breakfast and just kind of chilled for the whole day, doing nothing when we went walking, and after maybe 2 to 3 miles of walking I found a deer that had been torn to fucking shreds, like to the point where you could barely tell it was a deer. We turned around and went back to camp, just discussing this and our dumb theories as to what killed it and such. Fast forward to that night, and my friends are being dumb and throwing deodorant cans onto the fire to blow them up, right next to a flammable fucking tent, and I'm the last one to go to bed at 4 a.m. I am also the first to wake up at around 7, and we find 2 more torn to shred deers just past our fire. We packed up and left immediately because there wasn't anything that would kill 2 bucks in those woods, so we still have no clue what it was. Thanks for watching.